Hello everyone, welcome back on our channel. My name is Giselle Wilibiro-Maïdou and I am the founder of Nyone Initiative. The first time my son called me mommy, I think he was about 1 year old, and at that time he also knew how to say bye. He would wave at me, and then all of a sudden he went completely mute. At first it really didn't bother my husband and I because we thought it was just a phase that would pass. And the pediatrician at that time would tell us, don't worry, boys usually take the time, your son will talk when he'll be ready. The pediatrician advice was really based on a good feeling. And I must say that at that time, he didn't notice any developmental red flags. Then when our son turned 3, he would still not talk, and we started to worry. Then a year later, after a visit to a doctor, at the age of 4, that's when our son was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. You know, people and children with ASD may have difficulty developing language skills and understanding what others say to them. They also have difficulty communicating verbally and non-verbally, such as through hand gestures, eye contact, and facial expressions. Today, we are privileged to have a speech and language pathologist all the way from Australia. And she's going to take us through some communications milestone beneficials, not only for children with ASD, but for all children. And it's really an honor and a privilege to have her with us today. Artie, take it away.
Hi everybody, my name's Artie Shah. I'm a speech and language pathologist and I am currently working in Australia. So I'm in the state of Victoria and I work at a few different primary schools with children that have speech, language and literacy difficulties. So this presentation is titled Communication, Verbal, Non-verbal or literate, which is your reading and writing, is a remarkable human characteristic. It's quite amazing to think we can communicate or interact with others either through spoken language, our actions, or through reading and writing. It is truly what makes us human. So this is a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Kenya before I travelled to Australia to pursue my tertiary education. I've been a practicing speech and language pathologist for over 9 years. So I aim to live by a very personal motto, which is communication, be it not verbal, non-verbal or literate, equity and access for a better life. Okay, so the first language component that I'll talk about is usually listening, or speech and language pathologists, also called speech therapists, depends on where you are in the world, will generally talk about receptive language. Now, receptive language actually refers to your understanding of words by themselves, and I've given you a few examples. So it could be single and simple words like cat, dog, ugali, house, but then it could also mean more sophisticated or rich words like exhilarated, excited, but they're single words. So it's the understanding of those words. And then it's the understanding of phrases when you put a couple more words together. Sit down, clean your room. And then it's the understanding of sentences. Let's get ready for bath. Dinner is almost ready. And then stories. So children are usually expected to understand routine instructions, questions, explanations. We use language as adults all the time to do different things, to communicate with other adults, with our children. And so the idea of receptive language is for that understanding of language. So if we're thinking about a little one, say at about 6 months of age, you will it's not uncommon to hear them saying ba, 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 da, 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 ma, ma, ma. This is called babbling. So they start to do this at 6 months of age, but they start to understand. They start to understand single words. You spend time singing to your children and you spend time talking to your children. So they start to pick up on different words. And it's not just you talking to them, but you might be showing them something to help them to understand what you mean. So something like food, milk, water, they're things that they need for survival. They might want to go to the toilet, so nappy changes, things like that as well. So children start to understand language from a very early age. And in fact, language is what makes us human. So our brain is built to understand language and speak. And of course, there will be exceptions as to why you may not be able to necessarily do that. Then the second part of language is spoken language, speaking, expressive language. So this building block actually refers to the production of words. So now you're actually starting to talk. So you're producing words, and then as you get a little bit older, you can produce phrases. Mommy drink, car goes up, let's go. So you start to combine these words. And then as you grow a little bit older, you start to make sentences. I want some biscuits. Can we play outside? The child starts to engage in conversation with an adult, with other little children. And whether they're talking about play, they're interacting through play, or they want to tell you about something that's happened during the day. And this is particularly important for safety reasons as well. You want your child to be able to tell you if something has happened, but you want them to be able to tell you clearly and in an order so you can understand it as an adult. And that's where you can see the evidence of them forming these sentences and getting their message across. And then finally, producing stories. Children love to tell stories about different things that have happened, different things they've imagined. So typically in the Western world, and I think even look in other parts of the world, a child tends to produce or have their first words between 12 to 18 months. So that's when they're saying a few single words, and after 18 months you notice that they start to combine these words together to get more of their message across. And so that is from 18 months onwards. And by the time they're 2, you really want them to have 2-word combinations or those short phrases that I've been talking about. And then they grow older and they start improving in their vocabulary and keep adding to the phrase to make a longer sentence, and then eventually get to a level of conversation where they're able to talk to you and you with them about a shared topic. Now, this slide is about language and some of the uses. Why would we need language to communicate with others? And I've said the word communicate and communication a lot, but let's have a look at some of these reasons. And it's not an exhaustive list, but you want to tell someone something. You want to ask someone something. You want to inform them of something that might have happened. You may want to show them how to do something, so you need to be able to instruct them. You might want to tell them your story. You have to know how the sentence structures work to be able to tell a story. You may want to request something. You need to know how to request politely, as opposed to when you might request abruptly, and that might come across as being rude. So many social nuances that need to be learned as well. And that's something we could talk about at a later date because it's a whole different topic on its own that's worth discussing. Again, please have a look. Feel free to pause the video at this time and have a look to see why we need language. And as adults, this is very important to us. It's just as important for the children to be able to tell and to be able to ask and to be able to inform other people. It's showing their learning as well. Earlier, I talked about speech sound development. So that's the actual production of different sounds, and we combine sounds together to make a word. And the way we say each sound with our tongue, our lips, teeth, the part behind the teeth, the roof of the mouth, they're all very important in the production of clear speech sounds. Now, again, these norms are Western norms. However, they might be similar in other parts of the world, but kids are likely to have different speech sound errors. So if they're not, they might say tat instead of cat, or they might say dod instead of dog. And depending on what age they are, that might be okay. But if they're getting to the age of 4, you should still be able to understand them, even at the age of 3, at the age of 4. And if you're having a lot of difficulty and you just can't understand what a child is saying, please do consult with a speech and language pathologist wherever you are to get more of an idea of what's happening for your child. So this particular slide shows the speech sounds according to the ages and what the sounds that the child should be able to say. The age of by 3, by 4, by 5, 6, and really by the time they're 8, that's the last final error that should be rectified by then. But really, by the time the children go to school, it's very important that they are understood by their peers, which is their classmates or their friends, and then by the teachers to get their message across successfully. And I wanted to put this slide in here about why is language development and competency important? So I've been talking about language development in the early years, and I've talked about them understanding language and being able to express, words and phrases and sentences. But why is it so important? When they do go to school, they're going to have to know vocabulary. They're going to be instructed by the teachers on how to start to read and how to start to write. They're going to soon, after they start to read and start to write, they're going to be able to read to learn different things. And there's a concept that's, learning to read, and then you're reading to learn. And I'm aware in Kenya, it's a very, so by the age of 3 within the education system, you're learning to read. But in Australia, they start to learn to read at about 5-ish. And then, so the first 3 years of that formal instruction is learning to read. And then after that, it's reading to learn. So you're going into your science, your geography, your history, all the different subject areas. And guess what? It all has language. So it's really important for us to build our children's language so they are going to understand when they go to school. And once they go to school and they're having academic success, then the opportunities for employment and the opportunities for other things in a well-functioning society. So please, again, do have a look at this model, and it's by a person, a speech and language pathologist in Australia called Dr. Pam Snow. She's explained it very well in terms of what are the building foundations and then how different layers are placed on top of it. And it's like a house, so it needs to be solid. And if there is anything that doesn't have a good foundation, then the other skills will fall down. And here, the last slide is the reference slide. And these websites are where I got the information for this presentation. Please do look at them, and you might learn something or find something out that might benefit either your colleagues, yourself, your children, or children you're working with. So thank you so much, Giselle, for giving me this opportunity to present to your audience. If you have any questions, any concerns, just you might want to know about something else, please feel free to contact me. And we're going to have another session as well, and that's going to be on actual strategies to promote your child's speech and language development. So I look forward to that. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Artie. I've learned a lot, and I hope you did as well. Today, our son is 11 years old, and he's able to say and to repeat some certain words. So you can imagine the joy of my husband and I. We are really happy. It's a miracle every day. As parents, we know we must continue to stimulate his communication, and as believers, we need to continue to persevere in prayer. What could be a better prayer than the one in Psalms 51 verse 15? This is what it says: "O Lord, open my lips, and my mouth shall show forth your praise." So we are going to have a part 2 of this topic. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell. It's going to be awesome, and you're going to have the opportunity to ask all the questions you have about our children's communication. If you found this video useful, please like it, share it. Once again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget, when we touch heaven, our lives will surely change.